This is NTV.
Area of interest because we have within the football fraternity community representation in terms of the football teams that we have, and FC and Gor Mahia, you all know, are the bigger community teams, and they represent populations and supporters that spread not just in Kenya, but perhaps in the region, if not in the world. So our Secretary General for FC Leopards, thanks Chair for taking me back. I believe it's on my CV. I put it there. And also just to say that in the sports sector, apart from leading a club, leading the National Federation, where I was the Deputy President of the Football Kenya Federation for 5 years, I also served in the inaugural Sports Disputes Tribunal for 6 years, and we resolve a lot of sports disputes in the various sports federations, including dealing with matters of when we had the advent of doping issues. So we dealt with those issues.
You went to Starehe Boys Center. What ideals did you learn from Starehe that make you suitable for this position?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I went to the Starehe Boys Center and School. I left in the year 1994. Having done my KCSE, and we learned, and personally I witnessed the absolute value of hard work, discipline, when we topped the country in our year, in that KCSE exam. So there are values we got entrenched into, and I believe those values have kept us and most Starehe boys into our careers and also our leadership roles. I mean, they have been very prominent Starehe leaders. I admire some of them, such as the late Professor George Magoha. So I believe we learn a lot of leadership also at Starehe boys. We learn a lot of discipline. We learn about human relations. We learn about serving our communities, and we learn about patriotism and serving our nation, and taking up every challenging job that can come our way.
I noticed that you say we learned, not I learned.
I learned, and like many other Starehe boys, that's why I'm using we, Chair.
Or the community of the boys, all boys. Okay, fine. Allow me to ask Madam Linda to engage you a bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Mine will be very brief. In your career journey, what competencies have you acquired that you intend to use to help you execute your mandate as a chairperson of IEBC?
Thank you, Chair. First is about being firm and decisive when it comes to leadership roles. The IEBC Chair needs to have such character, because the situations that will be faced, and judging from the various petitions and the grounds thereof and the findings of the Supreme Court, I mean, the character of the IEBC Chair as a firm and decisive leader was essential. Equally, team play, and in the mandate of the IEBC, the commission with the 6 commissioners and the chair, plus also the secretariat. We've had conflicts over the years, but I believe that team play would help a lot in making the image of the IEBC be credible and acceptable to the people of Kenya. Interpersonal skills matter. I will cite what are my observations. In the commission of Isaac Hassan, we saw that the chair and the initial CEO, Oswago, had conflicts. But the same Isaac Hassan, when he got Chiloba as the CEO, they worked together very well. In the commission of Chebukati, may his soul rest in eternal peace. When he worked with the Chiloba, again there were conflicts. But when he worked with Marjan, again we saw a lot of tranquility. So I believe there's the element of interpersonal skills and team play that come at the fore to have an ideal IBC as a working entity. Equally, I believe in the ratio or the skill of dispute resolution. And as I've said, I've presided over a number of cases at the Sport Dispute Tribunal. In my CV, you'll also notice that I've served on the continental stage when I was a member of the CAF Appeals Board. And we are deliberating on issues of disputes between players and maybe teams and football leaders, and the ability to handle disputes, the ability to listen, to understand, and to guide and decide in a fair, transparent, credible manner over some of those disputes is an important skill that I would apply to the Commission. Equally, I would also believe in community outreach. I believe one of the mandates of the IBC is reaching out to community, especially in terms of education, awareness creation. And even when they'll be carrying out the mandate of, let's say, limitation of boundaries, they'll have to go down to the communities. So I believe, having worked in my life in the NGO sector, with communities, with various interest groups, I'll be able to apply that skill and experience. I can leave at that, Chair.
Thank you, and thank you, Chair.
Okay, I will request Madam Caroline Kituku to ask you some questions.
Thank you, Chairman, and welcome once more, Mr. Asembo. Let's talk more about the process of voter registration in Kenya. So, it is the mandate of the IBC to undertake voter registration, and the Constitution requires it to be continuous. What then, in your understanding, do you see as some of the legal issues and challenges that present the realization of this constitutional mandate?
Thank you, Chair. You was truly here in 2017. I joined one Okio Mtata and others to petition the High Court. And the substance of our petition, which we succeeded, was that the IBC had closed the registration process for voters at some point. And we went and argued before the High Court that this registration should be a continuous process per the law. And we succeeded. I remember the major outcome of it was they extended the registration list for 9 days. So in the legal challenge realm, to answer to your question, Madam, we need to look at the mandate of the IBC and what are other frameworks that support those mandates or derive those mandates. And I believe the challenge may not be within the IBC itself. I believe the challenge could be the relationship between the IBC and the other stakeholders, such as the treasury or finance. In the electoral circle, voter registration should be a continuous process, and it needs resources. But you find that we have characterized our election cycle to be just on the during election, and after election, I think a lot is put at the back. So maybe it may not be a legal challenge as such, but it could be other challenges such as the lack of necessary financial budgetary support for the exercise. That's my view.
There is a proposal that has been made towards the integration of the Kenya's voters register together with the National Civil Register, the one for the IDs. So how do you see this come out, and what would be the advantage or the disadvantages of such a system, if at all it's pursued?
Thank you. Chair, ideas that can make electoral processes efficient should be welcome. And the fusion of the registration of persons under the National Registration Bureau with the electoral register, voters register, will be an ideal scenario. But we know we have challenges in terms of, first of all, the trust in our Kenyan populace over some of the government ways of working. So we need, first of all, to make this maybe a deliberate agenda and say, we'll promote it among Kenyans that. And I think the campaigns can be there led by the government and the relevant institutions, including the IEBC itself, that we want to go that route, for example, of integrating these records and fusing the details and the particulars of registration in the IRB and also in the IEBC, voter register, for ease of, the whole exercise of even not just elections, but even a referendum if it were to occur. But every institution has its challenges, and I think one of the key challenges is the ICT, or the IT technology components, because to have those records meaningful and purposeful, we may need a serious IT platform, and we'll always have the issue of challenges of, will it be tamper-proof? Will it be susceptible to maybe illegal manipulations and the rest? So guarding and managing such databases will be the main challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Asembo. I wish you the best, and thank you, Chairman.
Thank you to Madam.
Yes, next we will ask Madam Koki Muli to be able to engage you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Wakili, karibu.
Asante, Daktari. Ambassador.
I would like us to discuss a little bit. During the last 2 days, we have had very good conversations with other candidates who came before us, and we discussed quite a number of challenges that are facing the IEBC. And one of challenges that was mentioned by almost all of them was the issue of the trust deficit. And therefore, it is indeed an issue that is going to concern you as a chair. And if you are successful, I would like to ask you first, do you believe as a chair of the IEBC, you should inspire trust and confidence?
Absolutely, Daktari, I should.
Thank you very much. And I agree absolutely that the chair of the Electoral Commission should inspire trust and confidence to all the stakeholders and the people of Kenya. Therefore, I would like to ask you to tell the panel and the people of Kenya watching you what strategies you are going to put in place to minimize or end the trust deficit and confidence crisis that the IEBC experiences.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. The IEBC itself must, in my view, get to be felt its presence positively within the Kenyan folk, within the communities, by, first of all, in its activities and endeavors, targeting their various electoral zones. We don't want a commission that is based in Nairobi, and yet it has never felt perhaps what is on the ground maybe in the rural, remote parts of Kenya. So when it comes to IEBC activities like voter registration, When it comes to IEBC activities like review of boundaries, I believe the commissioners themselves and the chair himself must be the lead, because in any case they have a full-time job. So I would like to be that chair of IEBC who will be reachable to the very roots of our nationhood, and not just be based at the headquarters at anniversary towers, because that can be like being in ivory tower at anniversary towers. So I would like to be an interactive chair who feels and hears what the Kenyans are saying. If Kenyans are complaining about not having their names in some voter register, it should be taken seriously. Those are the basics that the commission will have failed in maybe its mandate. So first of all, I have to be listening to what the Kenyans say about the commission. We need to have that role of, it's even the principle of state rational values here, that we be people-centered. We take the people of Kenya as our clients. We take the voter as the point of reference in all our mandates. So we need to look at the various needs of the voter. If there are special interest category of voters, a chair should be sensitive to such areas of interest. We need to address such perhaps quickly. Then the other issue as on trust deficit is to make sure that our processes are absolutely transparent. IEBC has had some controversies, especially around tendering and the rest. We need to be transparent as a commission. We need to have our processes be accessible. Today, if you go to the IEBC website, many of the things you see are just the secretariat work and participation maybe in workshops and the rest, and the events the secretariat has done. But you don't see much about what the commissioners were doing. So we want the commissioners and the secretariat to work in tandem and be felt among the Kenyan population. Secondly is the stickability to the electoral circle. I'll endeavor as the chair to make sure that pre-election activities, which point a lot to the eventual outcome of the credibility of the election or otherwise, are taken seriously. We lobby for adequate funding if that's a factor, because we realize that in IEBC, everything stalls after the election. And when the election is near, like 2026, for 2027, that's when Treasury releases funds and everybody's now on the run. And I think the commission ends up biting much than it can chew, and perhaps even, being felt little impact. And that's why you saw, for example, in the last election, there was a confusion about the ballot boxes for Kakamega and Mombasa County and 4 constituencies and 2 wards, because they do last-minute rushes, because they don't stick to this electoral circle, which has maybe 3 phases of pre-election, during election, and post-election. So I would like us to focus more there in my strategy with my commissioners and the secretariat if I become the chair. Lastly, enforcement of electoral offenses, and also the, endeavoring to have the election financing control regulations in place, because those are still issues that affect the voter, and you find that the ordinary voter experiences election violence, for example, and nothing happens to the perpetrators of the election offenses. And so they feel that the process will not be fair and free, and they lack the trust deficit. Same thing with the financing. Some people spend a lot of money, and people abuse the money factor, and they do not get the leaders they deserve. and Kenyans also lose their trust in the Commission. So those are urgent issues that need to be intervened by the Commission towards enhancing that space of trust.
Thank you very much, Wakili. Lastly, would you personally take responsibility and, let's say, resign if something like what happened in, if your commissioners were so divided that some leave you at Bomas and others remain with you? Would you consider that as a reflection of your leadership and take personal responsibility over that?
Yes, that reflects badly. I remember even the Supreme Court looking at that point, and I think they commented on one of the lines that the chair did not help even the situation. I'm trying to quote them, but I'm not quoting them verbatim. So the image matters, and the way to go about it is that in the boardroom, disagree as much as you can, but agree when out there. So in the boardroom, the chair and the commissioners need to have certain agreed working formulas and approaches to issues. If it's about relaying the results, for example, and announcing and declaration, they need to be clear to each other. How will we go about this process? Who will do what and at what point? And it's all about the team play factor that I said. And we also need to be alive that the commission, I think there have been conflicting theories about how a commission should be. One, should they all come in together like maybe this one, which you are recruiting, who will come in all together? So that when the terms lapse, we have the problem of no commission. And without the commission, some things cannot just happen. For example, the boundary delimitation cannot happen. Who will go and listen to the views of Wananchi when they are suggesting their electoral, maybe ward boundaries? Or should they have a staggered approach of appointing commissioners, whereby some come in early, some come in later, and leave earlier and others remain? The problem with that, Dr. is that we need to have the gelling of the commissioners. And if the commissioners come together at one go, like the 7 or 6 who will come in, it's easy for them to gel together. If they find others and others leave, then there may be camps.
Chair, what I was asking the candidate...
So I want to come to your answer, Madam. So I believe that depending on the circumstances of the day, I'll endeavor to bring the commission together, considering all those factors I've tried to enumerate. But if it is impossible, then the honorable thing will be to resign.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you, Wakili, and all the best.
Thank you, Doc.
The next person to ask questions to you is FCPA, Tanui, and he will engage you briefly. Welcome, Tanui.
Thank you, Chair. Bwana Asembo.
Yes, Bwana FCPA.
Yeah, one of the latest amendments on the IEBC Act, which was done last year, was to provide a new section 24A, which provides for the review of conduct of general election and requires the Commission to review its operations and make necessary changes immediately after every election or after every general election. So if considered and appointed the chair, what benefit would the review of the conduct of general election will be to you as a commission and to us as Kenyans? And then how do you go about it in terms of undertaking that new provision? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. That will be an essential and an area of prime importance because, as I have said, the electoral circle should have 3 phases. So this post-election circle, reviewing how the previous election was held, will help a lot in, first of all, addressing the shortcomings that were there in the past election or the preceding election. It will also address emerging issues that sometimes are raised by the petitions that follow. I remember in the Supreme Court case of the last election, the judges were advising certain measures that they think the IEBC should undertake. So this will be the appropriate avenue and forum, this avenue of review. And so I believe that looking at what the Secretary may have done, because some of the areas of review will be administrative, I believe I'll look for the reports already of activities that are taken by the Secretariat, and from there engage them more and implore upon my commission to fast forward or make it a priority such review before the next election.
Now, we are looking at your CV, and you are the Deputy President of FKF. For how many years?
That is 2012, 24 years, say 5 years.
Okay. So at some point, I remember the FKF president was suspended from office.
Not in my time, sir.
Not in your time?
Not in my tenure.
Okay. So how can that experience or that experience at FKF be of benefit to you, if given the position of chairperson of IEBC?
Thank you. Chair, it was an opportunity of service when I was the Deputy President of FKF. We were serving Kenyan football. Kenyan football has many players, not the football players, but stakeholders. You find big corporates there like the Kenya Police, they are there. The KDF are there, they have teams. We have big corporates like breweries, they are there, they have a team. KCB are there. And you go all the way to the ordinary fan and also the players themselves, who are the real men and women of the game, or boys and girls of the game. So when we are managing the country's football, one, we were looking at developing the sport throughout the Republic of Kenya. So we were able to reach out the rest of many parts of Kenya, and I know many parts of the country. So I believe it will also help me in my IEBC role by knowing several areas of Kenya. Two, there are many relations that come in the sport, from sponsorships to international cooperation, such as the FIFA body, which is an international body, and also various countries that come and play or engage with Kenya. And in fact, just to refer to my CV, that's some of the reason why I was motivated to go and do my master's in international relations at the USIU as soon as I left the FKF Deputy President. So, in essence, the role of a Deputy President of Football Kenya Federation is a role that offers leadership to the country. It also matters a lot because these teams represent our country, our image there. So I know about our image, our country's image as Kenya. And every role I'll take up in the future, I'll always have the image of my country coming forward, at least for the flag of our nation. So with that national role, I believe in the IEBC role, I can fit in because I know what is the best interest of Kenya, and especially I need to make the Kenyan name, especially democratic practices, as a leading name. Just like you aspire in sports to be also a leading sports nation. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Wish you well. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you.
Next is James Evans Misati, and he will ask you some questions.
Very well, Chair.
Thanks so much, Chair. Robert,
Yes.
you have said you have had experience in managing football. and now you are coming to a totally different field of elections. From your explanation, you have also said about the voter registration where you participated in petitioning IEBC. What are the provisions in law, or which section of the law talks about the continuous voter registration, and why is it not? Why is the voter registration not ongoing as we talk?
Thank you. Under the IEBC Act, I think it could be Section 7, but I'm not sure of the exact section. Well, I believe that those are matters one can easily refer to. We know where to find such provisions. But the challenge of the continuous voter registration, I think I've already mentioned a bit, has been financial support or the financial deficit within the IEBC because of budgetary support that comes from the Treasury a bit belatedly. And as I said, the challenge has been that most of the work of IEBC is targeted at the crucial hour, the 11th hour, where now every funding is easily available. But I believe that with a commission determined to improve such key mandate of continuous voter registration, which is a dictate of the law, and also by the fact that we need to have as many Kenyans, especially the young ones and those who have attained the age of majority, participate in their democratic role. We need to prioritize that continuous registration exercise by lobbying for not just adequate funding, but timeless funding. Equally, within the IEBC schemes of work, they can prioritize that agenda and also prioritize the financial. When you have the financial passes, they can play the deliberate measure of prioritizing it.
Maybe you need to check your facts right, because you said you had petitioned the IEBC. If you petition them, you should be able to be aware the provisions that are making the registration not to be ongoing. But nevertheless, check your facts, because there are other issues which have made the voter registration not to go on, not the financial issues.
Okay, I can add more of those. Maybe some of lack of the absence of the commission since 2023. But I welcome your view, sir.
The other thing I'll ask, assuming you find favor in this panel and you are the chair of IEBC, please mention to us some of the priority actions that you will take in preparation to the 2027 general elections.
Thank you. Chair, my first priority will be the gaps in law. For example, we need to have the regulations quickly come in place for the Election Campaign Funding Act. Equally, I would like to prioritize in that regard of law reform. We totally don't have the Referenda Act, nor do we have even regulations to it. I'd like that to be prioritized. Thirdly, I'd like us to prioritize the cleaning up of the voter register and registration of voters. And also, I would like us to have the question determined of the long outstanding component of boundaries delimitation.
Thanks so much. I wish you well.
Thank you, sir.
I will ask Mrs. Fatuma Saman to also ask you some questions. Kindly, Fatuma.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Asembo,
IEBC partners with the stakeholders like the civil society, the media, and interested group in conducting civic education. However, at times there is the risk of some of them running a partisan narrative, of taking advantage of that to attempt to dominate the process. As the IEBC chair, how would you ensure that the Commission maintains neutrality and accuracy during this process?
Thank you, Madam Fatima. First of all, the mandate of the IEBC is hinged on certain principles, such as fairness, neutrality, to be a neutral arbiter. And so, in the training programs or in stakeholders who support training programs and civic education, I think in our terms of engagement, we'll first have to also illuminate upon them the mandate of the IEBC and the principles that govern the workings of the IEBC. So sometimes you need to engage those who are coming to help you to understand who you are, where you are, and where you want to go, so that they support you better. Two, in developing whatever training materials, I believe the Commission will play its role in contributing to the content and also the overall exercise of the dissemination approach of the materials. So I believe with those two measures, will ameliorate or at least mitigate on will be biases or other interests beyond the mandate of the IEBC.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, too.
Okay, next I will ask Nicodemus Bore to ask you some questions around leadership. Yeah, thank you.
Very well, sir.
Thank you. And Chairman Asembo, we understand that you have been the chair of the Secretary General of FC Leopards.
Secretary General of FC Leopards 2009 to 2011 and FKF Deputy President 2011 to 2016.
Okay. And being a leader at that status of FC Leopards as a community football team and a national one should be able to understand both your own emotions and the emotions of the people that you manage. So, based on your self-awareness, what are your key emotional strengths?
Thank you. I believe, first of all, listening, and two, I take interest in what whoever I'm interacting with wants to say or how they want to react, so that I give always balanced reaction. And I believe in fairness and also courtesy.
So, follow up on that. In 2022, late November, there was an altercation between you and a person in court.
Yes.
And if there was a boxing contest, I think you won.
Thanks for the humor.
So, will you say you are in touch with your emotional ability to control yourself?
Yes, I'll address that issue. Thank you for bringing it up. First and foremost, I apologize that the media put it out of context. I was within the court corridors outside chamber number 24 with my client, who was the estranged wife of the defendant. So while we were waiting for a matter to be quoted, it was a children matter, it's a sensitive matter, family matter. So prior to that, I had, out of executing court orders, I had jailed the defendant for failing to support his children. So I think he was bitter. So he took that opportunity to, first of all, attack the lady. And I came in just to prevent that, to stop him. And then he turned on me and attacked me. So it was a human reaction of perhaps self-defense. And we reported the matter with the Judiciary Police Unit, and the necessary legal avenues took charge. So I wouldn't say that for 22 years I've been going to court, I've never had an altercation in court. So that was an unfortunate incident, but caused by this particular litigant. And litigants should know that we advocates, we are not the parties to the case. We are just there for an important role to serve the justice ends. So I believe that advocates, well, in court, can suffer such occupational hazard, just like sometimes the police also get to suffer such occupational hazard. So in fact, if there was proper context of media reporting, I was the victim rather than the assailant.
Okay. And are you aware of any warrant of arrest that has been issued by the Kibera law courts?
I'm not aware.
Okay. That's okay. Secondly, we have received a lot of memorandum affecting talking about your leadership skills and your integrity. One among them is that during your tenure as a FKF vice chair, there was a lot of misappropriation of funds. Can you highlight a few issues on that and maybe bring to the public what really transpired?
Thank you. I believe that was a misconception. We never faced any accusations of misuse of funds. The funds we receive are always accountable. If there are FIFA funds at FKF, we account them per FIFA standards. They send international auditors, and FIFA would actually take sanctions against an official who misappropriates such funding from FIFA, including being banned from football-related activities as one of their sanctions. I have never been banned, and none of my office colleagues at the time has ever been banned. Equally, if it is government support, the ESCC and other relevant bodies will have handled such, and we've never faced such questioning over the funding in our time. So I believe those are misconceptions, and misconceptions also abound out there. Until you give us such opportunity to clarify, some of us will just get condemned and heard.
Chair, and maybe a follow-up question on that. The position you are seeking is the position of a chair. And as I'll quote what Adams Law kept saying, you're supposed to be as mweupe kama pamba. Have you ever been convicted?
I faced a criminal charge, but I am exploring the relevant legally available avenues of special of appeal, and the matter, I think, should be sub judice. We had a court session on Monday. It's coming up again, so I believe we should leave it as sub judice, so it's not true.
Chairman, thank you very much.
We are not discussing the merit of the matter. The question was a yes or no.
And I've answered that it's subject to appeal, Chair.
So have you been convicted or not convicted on a criminal matter?
It is challengeable, Chair. The conviction is challengeable because it's on appeal, and I don't know how it will come out.
So you have been convicted?
I wouldn't say so, Chair.
Okay, please.
Maybe I give an example. Honorable Ferdinand Waititu is convicted. True or false?
Yes.
Has he put an appeal?
I have not followed up, but yes. I think he's in jail.
So you have put an appeal?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and the conviction was under which section of the Penal Code?
313.
Okay, thank you. Professor, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Asembo, just following from Bore and Chair, as you have told us, this position of Chair and IEBC generally, there's a trust deficit. And therefore, the selection panel puts a lot of premium on integrity. Questions have been raised on your conviction. Kenyans out there, what do you tell them? Given you have appealed, yes, but there's a conviction on record. What do you tell them on your integrity so that as we consider?
I'll tell them that under the rule of law, we give room to the courts and the parties before them to exploit the full recourses of law, and it's a fair process that way. It's in the interest of justice, and in the best interest of justice, we need to allow the law to take its course.
Thank you. Along the same line, are you the occupant of flat number A5, third floor, Block A, Village Plaza Ngala, LR number 209/148/11?
I'm not the occupant, but I list for my younger brother, whom I'm rehabilitating over some drug abuse.
So you have a lease agreement with the owners?
Correct.
Are you in any arrears?
Yes.
Has an eviction notice been given to you?
Not.
Okay. Maybe just one last question. As chair, or in your past positions, can you tell this committee when your position in leadership was ever challenged on issues of personal integrity, honesty, and how did you address or navigate over the same, if any?
There has never been.
Can you tell this panel at least two experiences where external political or financial pressure challenged your professional values and how you handled them?
I have never had such occasion.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Yes, Bwana Tanui, FCPA.
Thank you, Chair. Something related to what Prof. and Bore raised. I was looking at the certificates of Asembo, and one of the documents in that folder is a letter from Law Society of Kenya, and it's called Certificate of Good Standing.
Yes.
Dated 20th of March.
Yes.
Which must be last week.
Yes.
And it is signed by Mr. Mwavi M. Kitonga.
Yes.
And it tells us that from your documents that there are no complaints nor past complaints with regard to Mr. Asembo.
Yes.
But from your end, we want to hear from you. Have you had any complaints before registered with the LSK with regard to your, with you being a lawyer and an advocate of the High Court?
I have had complaints from the Advocates Complaints Commission.
Not LSK.
Not LSK.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a council member here, Linda. Would you like to ask some questions, kindly?
Chair, thank you. Now, council, usually, the Advocates Complaints Commission, they work hand in hand with the Disciplinary Tribunal,
yes,
the DTC of the Law Society of Kenya. And now the Law Society of Kenya...
The ADT, the Advocates Disciplinary Tribunal, right?
It's the DTC, the Disciplinary Tribunal, under the Law Society of Kenya, which works hand in hand with the Complaints Commission.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And where prosecution of matters of discipline or indiscipline against advocates are heard by the Disciplinary Tribunal. Now, please confirm to this panel whether or not you have disciplinary cases before the Disciplinary Tribunal of the Law Society of Kenya.
As I have said, I've had cases from the Advocates Complaints Commission, and I know that they may end up at the Advocates Disciplinary Tribunal.
Counsel, you said you like fairness.
Yes.
Now, the Law Society of Kenya, through their letter dated 17th of March this year, I have presented 5 open cases against you for different disciplinary issues as an advocate of the High Court, 2 of which have been settled. Are you aware? Yes or no, Counsel?
I'm not aware.
Okay. There is a DTC case, disciplinary